A password manager is the best investment you can make to keep your online accounts secure. One of my personal favorites is 1Password. Not only because it's super easy to use, but it also incorporates some of the best security that any online password manager has today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up 1Password so it's super easy to use, but also super secure. And stick around because I'll show you a really cool feature of 1Password that you can use to send secure information back and forth between different people. Now, I said that 1Password was one of the most secure online password managers, and the reason for that is because there's two pieces of critical information that are used to secure your vaults. The first is the use of a master password. Now, this is going to be standard on any online password manager, but it's the first ingredient to secure your vault. Like any master password for a password vault, you want to make sure that this is the only time that you're using this password. This has to be super strong and it has to be unique. What separates 1Password from other password vaults, though, is the use of the second component. It's called a secret key. This is also something that only you have. These two pieces of information combine to restrict access to your vault and keep it super secure. So even in situations like that password manager that won't be named, LastPass. So even in that situation when somebody was able to gain access to the password vault, it wouldn't matter because even if they start trying to crack your master password, they also have to crack your secret key. So it's just not going to happen. And most importantly here, 1Password doesn't store your master password or your secret key, so there's nothing that somebody could steal from 1Password. This is what allows it to up the security. The first step in getting 1Password set up is to choose the right plan for you. So let's start there. So to get started, let's just go to 1Password.com and we'll start checking out what they have available. So I want to go over to pricing and I want to look at all the different plans that they have available. Now, you can see they have something for everyone. They have an individual plan, a family plan, a team starter pack, and then a business plan. The main thing here is to just figure out how many people are going to be using it. If it's just going to be you, the individual plan is going to be perfect. But if you're planning to share this with your family or friends, you're going to want to look at the family plan or the team's plan. This is going to get you all the same features, but it's going to open it up where you're just going to get more value and be able to share for a cheaper option. If you're a business, the best option is going to be the business plan because there are extra integrations that are available that can tie into other features that are already present in your environment. But for most people, you're going to really focus in on the individual or the family plan. It's important to note here that there is no free option for 1Password. Now, there are cost-effective options here, but you got to keep that in mind. I personally believe that the cost is well worth it with just how easy it is to use 1Password and all the features that they pack in, which we're going to walk through today. Okay, so to get started here, I'm going to select the 14-day trial here, and we're going to get this set up now. So I'll first just put in my name, and then we're going to put in our email address, and then we'll go ahead and create the account. Now, this is where you're going to get a 6-digit verification code that's sent to that email address to ensure that it's really you. So we'll go over to our email and we'll just pop that in here and click next. So this is our first indication of how it's using the master password with the secret key. It's giving you a rundown here. It's telling you how this works together to protect your data. It's calling out here that you're going to need both your master password and the secret key in order to log in to 1Password. This is going to be true on any device that you're logging in. Remember that because it's going to be really important as we move along. So we'll go ahead and we'll click next here. And now this is where we're going to create that master password. Going back to the security features of 1Password, they call this out here that they are not going to be able to reset your master password. So if you lose that, it's game over. And the reason for that is because they never receive your master password. They just don't know what it is. And that works in your favor from a security perspective. So we're going to create the master password now. Again, you want this to be super strong. I recommend you put this over 25 characters, and I'm a big fan of passphrases so that it's just easier to remember. So we'll go ahead and we'll pop this in here, confirm here, and now we're going to click next. At this point, our account is getting created. So now that our master password is created, we're getting prompted to generate the secret key. Again, just like the master password, the secret key never makes its way to 1Password. It stays on your local device because it's actually generated from there. And 1Password does a great job of calling that out here. So we're going to go ahead and generate the secret key. Because 1Password is not going to have a copy of this key, it's important that you save a copy of this. So we're gonna save this down to our local system first, and we'll talk about this in just a minute on what you're gonna do with this. So from here, we're gonna go ahead and click next, and then we're set. Now the 14-day trial starts today. You can bill it annually or monthly, do whatever's gonna work for you. Okay, now let's circle back to that PDF that we downloaded. We can see here that this is a 1Password emergency kit. And it's called the emergency kit for a reason, because this is everything that you're going to need to log in to 1Password from any device. So this is going to include your email address, your full secret key, and then it also includes a spot for your master password that you can write down. And lastly, you have this setup code here at the bottom, which is going to help you in the event that you want to be able to just scan it and just automatically import your secret key. We'll walk through that in a minute. As I said, this document is very important because it's the only backup that you have of all the information you need to log into 1Password. So I recommend you print this out and keep it somewhere safe and secure, and then delete that PDF from your desktop. The next thing we're gonna do is set up MFA for our account. This is gonna make sure that we have an added layer of protection beyond the master password, beyond the secret key. So this is really taking it to the next level to secure access. So in order to set up MFA, we're just gonna go to More Actions, and then we're gonna go to Manage Two-Factor Authentication. There are two options that are available to you. You have an authenticator app, which is something you'll have on your mobile phone, or you'll have the option for a hardware key. If you wanna go the most secure route, I recommend using a hardware key. This is phishing resistant, and it's really gonna help secure your account. If you do this, make sure that you set it up with two keys just in case you lose one. I like to have one that's a primary that I'll take with me, and then one that's a backup that I keep in a secure location. We'll start setting up the Authenticator app first, so I'll go ahead and click on that. You're gonna get a QR code here, and you're just gonna go to your favorite Authenticator app of choice and configure it there. When you scan that QR code, you click Next, and then you're just gonna type in the 6-digit code that you're prompted with. So we'll do that now. And then you can see, great, it's been registered. It's that easy. Next, we're gonna add a hardware key, and it's a very similar process here. So to add the hardware key, we're just gonna go and click on Add a Security Key. We're gonna type in a name, and then we're gonna click through and say okay. And then I have my key plugged in already, so it's prompting me to enter in the security pin that I've assigned to this key. So I'll go ahead and type that in. And then I'm gonna touch the key in order to complete this setup. 1 second here. And that's it, we're done. It's really that easy. So now we have two different forms of MFA set up, and our account is very secure. At this point, we're ready to start importing data if we have passwords from other locations. Otherwise, we can just start going to different websites and reconfiguring all of our passwords to be extra secure. If you do need to import the passwords, you simply go to your profile again and click on Import. The cool thing about 1Password is they make it really easy to import just about anything from a lot of popular different things, like your browser or other password managers. If we go ahead and click through one of these, you can see they give you very easy to understand instructions on what you need to do to then import it in. Most of the time, this is just gonna be about exporting those passwords from another password manager and then importing them into 1Password. So in this case, you would just export it from your other password manager, go ahead and click continue. You would upload it here by choosing the vault that you want to go to. By default, it's going to be the personal vault. And then you would go ahead and upload by just dropping in whatever the file is, and then you're good to go. So assuming you've imported all of your passwords, now we have to get all of our devices set up. And I'm going to target 3 in particular. It's going to include the web browser extension, the desktop application, and then your mobile device as well. To do that, you just go back over to your profile, and then you click on Get the Apps. They have a lot of different options available, and as I mentioned, we're gonna start first with the browser extension. So I'm gonna click on 1Password for Chrome because I'm using Chrome. This is gonna take me over to the Chrome Web Store, and I'm just gonna click on Add to Chrome. We're gonna click Add Extension, and Google is gonna go ahead and install this into Chrome. You can see here that it just automatically pops it in, and now I'm getting redirected to sign into 1Password. So we're gonna see this login process for the very first time here. Go ahead and click on Sign In. I'm gonna choose my account. And then because I've already logged in from this device, this is important, the secret is already there. So we don't have to do anything with that. And all we're gonna have to do is go ahead and type in our master password and click sign in. Now our MFA is kicking in here, which is great. it's prompting me for my most secure MFA option, which is my hardware key. So I'm going to go ahead and touch that again. 1 second. All right. So we got that in. And now we're in a good position where 1Password is now logged in via that web browser extension. So for that browser extension, we can see it's right here. And I'm just going to pin that to my browser here so I don't have to click on that button again. So now if I go ahead and click on that, you can see it's all set up. This is the interface that we're going to be using from now on with the web browser extension. With the web browser extension set up, let's now look at the desktop application. So I'm running Windows here, so I'm just going to go ahead and download that for 1Password for Windows. And then when that's finished downloading, I'm just going to go click on that and we'll begin the installation process. So it's going to prompt me, do I want to install it? Yes, I do. And it's going to go ahead and start installing this on my desktop. So it's a very simple install. From here, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Now this is where it gets a little more complicated because we have that secret key. So we're going to have to input not only our master password, but the secret key as well. So you have a couple different options here. I can just sign in on 1Password.com. I can sign in with the emergency kit. I can scan the QR code. It's a little bit harder on the desktop app. That'll be good on mobile though. Or we can just manually input all of the different account details. So I'm gonna go and just enter account details here so you can see what it looks like. So the first thing I need to do is pop in my email address. We're then going to have to enter that secret key. Now, because I'm logged in on the website and we can get our secret key here, I'm just going to do that because it's going to be the easier option here. So I'm going to go back to my profile. I'm going to then look at my secret key and just copy it from here. I'll then go back to 1Password, pop in my secret key, and then all I need to do is enter in my password and we'll go ahead and sign in from here. Now, again, two-factor authentication prompt here. So I'll show you this time what it looks like if I'm signing in with the Authenticator app. So I'll go ahead and fire that up, and I'll just type in that one-time password. Verify the code. And there you go. We're logged in on the desktop application now as well. To install the mobile app, it's very straightforward. You're just going to go install that application on your phone, whether it's Android or iPhone. And then when you go and run that, you're going to get prompted to sign in, and then you're going to select the QR code. At this point, you can go show this QR code and then scan that with your phone, and that's going to enter in the information like your secret key to allow you to log in. At that point, you just type in your master password, and then that's it. You're into the application. With 1Password installed on all our devices, now we can just quickly look at the settings to make sure everything is in order. I like to do that through the desktop app just because I find the interface a little bit easier to use. So to do that, we'll just pull up 1Password, and then we're going to click on our profile here on the left and then click on settings. From here, we can just take a quick look at what we have. There's not really anything you need in general unless you want to have some of the keyboard shortcuts that are going to launch 1Password when you need it. I like to look at security, and you're going to have to change these depending on your device. Your mobile app is going to have a little bit different settings than some of these others, but they're pretty self-explanatory. Important thing here for the desktop version is you want to lock 1Password when the computer locks, so keep that the same here. Or if you're not using 1Password or you're not using the system at all, you want to just condense this down potentially. This is going to be up to you. Best practice for this is just going to put it about 2 minutes. That way you can just log in when you need to, and we can set this up with biometrics on our devices. So I don't have Windows Hello on my system. That's where you can use your fingerprint or your face to unlock it. You can use that with a Windows device, or on a Mac, you can use Touch ID to set that up. I also like to make sure that I have this clipboard option selected. This is just going to make sure that if I do copy a password, it's going to clear my clipboard after 90 seconds here. This is just going to help. If there is malware on my system that is monitoring that clipboard, it could steal that password, so this is just good housekeeping. From here, we'll go over to the privacy sections, and here I want to make sure that I am checking for compromised websites. So if there's a website that got compromised, this would notify me. I also like to enable checking for vulnerable passwords. This is especially important if you do have old passwords that you've imported into the vault that maybe you didn't have a unique password for. So this is going to be important in a minute when we look at another feature, because that can help you identify some weaker passwords. So go ahead and make sure that's enabled. And then I also like to ensure that I'm checking for two-factor authentication. This is going to allow me to know that if there is a website that supports two-factor authentication and I'm not using it, that I can go ahead and configure that appropriately. So make sure that that's selected as well. We can also just quickly take a look at the browser extension to see the differences here. To go to the settings here, you simply click on this menu here and go to settings. This is going to pop up a different website, and we can just quickly see that a lot of these settings are the same here. I do want to make sure that Watchtower is enabled here. With all of our devices configured, we're now in a position to start using this. So let's give this a shot and just see how it works. So I'm going to first just go over to Coursera and see what it's like to create an account here. So we're going to go ahead and click join for free. And then we're going to just enter in some information here. We'll pop in our email address. And then you can see here, we're getting prompted to use a suggested password. This is from 1Password. And look at that. It's a very complex password. I like this already. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And look, it pops up here. It's going to allow us to change the name, our username, our password. It's going to add in the website here, which is going to allow it to just auto-recognize it. And you can change the autofill behavior here, where you can have it where it's filling anywhere on this website. That's the default. You can have it where you're only filling it in on the exact domain, or you can just have it be never. Default is going to be fine here. Last thing here is if you do have multiple vaults set up, you can just save it to whichever vault you'd want. We only have one, so we're going to stick there. Okay, we'll go ahead and click save. And then we'll complete the registration and click on join for free. I have to prove that I'm a human here. No pressure, no pressure. Okay, we're good. And that's it. We're good to go. If for some reason I wanted to change this password, I could do that as well. So I'll just go ahead and click on the web browser extension here, click on 1Password, and then we can see I have the option here to edit. From here, it actually pops open the desktop application. If I didn't have this open, it might pop up on the web browser. And then from here, we can just go ahead and change the password. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to something that's a really terrible password, and we're going to see why this is important in a minute. Go ahead and click save. Look, right away, it's already telling us, hey, this is a vulnerable password. It's appeared on a list of exposed passwords. This is really important because this type of feature is what you can use to figure out if you're using insecure passwords or not. And you can see this didn't pop up when we were using a uniquely generated password. And that's why you want to use a password manager, because you get those unique passwords for every single site. Another cool feature of 1Password is we can do a lot with the application itself. So I'm just going to open up the web browser here, go over to the Coursera one. We're still showing that it's a weak password, but if we needed to, we can copy out our username or a password. It's already reminding us that the password is terrible here, so thank you, 1Password. One thing that's really cool is if you needed to reveal it, you could show it there. This is really nerdy, but I actually love seeing this in large type. Really important if you're logging into another computer for the first time and you're on your mobile. It just helps to really clearly see what that password is. Another cool feature of 1Password is you can actually manage your two-factor authentication through 1Password. So let's check out what that looks like. I'm going to go and click on the settings here, and Coursera has a beta option for this, so we're just going to enable that now. We're going to pop in our password. You can see how it pops up automatically, and now we have a QR code here. So I'm just going to go back into 1Password, and I'm going to go to Coursera here. I'm going to click on the three dots, and you can see scan QR code. So go ahead and click that. And then you can see we have a new field here, which is our one-time password. So we're going to copy that out, pop back here, verify the code, and now we're all set. You can now do two-factor authentication through 1Password. That's awesome. So if you did import all your previous passwords and you did want to check the security of all of them, all you need to do is go over to your vault here, click on that, and then you can see we can click on Watchtower here, and it's going to go in and generate a report. Now we can see we have one weak password, and it pulled us over to Coursera, which is the password that we set up intentionally weak here. There's a lot of other cool features with Watchtower where it'll check, obviously, the weak passwords. It'll also look for those vulnerable passwords. That's what we selected earlier in our settings. It will also show you any compromised websites that have been impacted by a data breach. There's also an option at the bottom here for a breach report. This will look if your email address has been included in any breach using Have I Been Pwned. So it's a good way to kind of just keep a good sense of how out there is your email address or passwords, and what do you need to do to try to secure them. You can also go through and see any passwords that are reused, and also any sites that are known to have two-factor authentication, but you don't have it configured for. This might not seem like a big deal, but when you're dealing with hundreds of passwords, especially if you haven't used a password manager before, this is a very good way to just get some hygiene checks on your passwords. And when you're doing things like using weak passwords or reusing passwords, this is how hackers take advantage of this to log into your accounts. So take the time to go through these Watchtower reports. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. All right, I told you before there was a really cool feature about how you can share sensitive information with others. So let's dig into that now. To do that, I want to start by creating a new vault. So I'm just going to scroll down here and click on New Vault. And I'm going to give this just the name of shared, we'll say shared passwords here. And you can give it a quick description. So we're going to go ahead and click on Create Vault. And that's going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll go ahead and click on View Vault. From here, I'll just create a new password. Okay, and we'll go ahead and click Save. From here, I'm going to go to the right here and click on Invite People. Now, this is going to be one of the differences between the individual account and the family plan. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on Upgrade to the family plan. And now it's going to allow me to invite people. So from here, we have the option to invite by email. So you can put in whoever you want here and just go ahead and click invite. That individual will get an email prompting them to join that vault. And you can see down here we have a pending invitation, and that's going to auto expire after 5 days if that person doesn't accept it. Now, the important thing to understand here is when you're inviting them and they accept access into that vault, they are going to have access to this password here. So you want to be careful on who you're adding to it and really be cognizant of the access that you're granting. Now, the good thing is you can create as many vaults as you want, so you can get pretty granular in this. And when you don't need somebody to have access anymore, you just remove them and you're good to go. And it's just not passwords that you can share. We can add things like a secure note or a document. So if we wanted to send information securely, we just create a new vault and then add in our information we want to share, invite somebody to that, and we're good to go. And that's 1Password in a nutshell. As you can see, it's super easy to use, super simple to secure, and most of all, it's fairly cost effective for all of the things that you can do with it. Add in the fact that those vaults are one of the most secure that you're going to get with an online password manager, and you can see that this is a very clear winner in the online password war.